I didn't even do it consciously, but I stopped hiring my copywriter for jobs that he has been doing consistently for me for about the last 2 years. It's interesting that that's also how I started using him. I found that I was reaching out to him for jobs that he was able to get done faster and better than I was. So it only made sense that I was just drawn to his services. What took his place is surprisingly ChatGPT. That may come as zero surprise to you if you listen to just globs of influencers and coaches saying that AI will change your life. That has not been me. I have been saying that it's good, that there are some good parts to it, but it does not take the place of a copywriter. If you know me, you know that I am very critical of the copy that I use for myself. I am very critical of the copy that my copywriter creates for my clients. Words matter. And the gobbledygook that I usually associate with earlier versions of ChatGPT do more harm than good. It's just a giant word salad, a whole heap of it. But what I've noticed is that the quality of the content that comes from it has improved both over time and by how much of my own content I train it with. For most of 2024, I used ChatGPT for brainstorming. I would ask it specific questions to come up with really just a bunch of ideas. And then I would use my own brain and experience to pick and choose which answers to go with. I found that it was really good with answering questions related to marketing, like specifically my marketing. What are everyday challenges that life coaches experience? I would literally type that in and it would give me some good answers. What do they want out of their business? What are some good titles for my new program that is about blank? Now, this might sound like cheating or dishonest, but all of the information's in my head. It just comes out a lot faster when I have someone to bounce a machine to bounce ideas off of and to pick through an existing list. It was really good at spitting out a lot of ideas, and I would sift through it and just use the ones that best fit my messaging. I would then transform these ideas into podcast topics, email newsletters, new offer titles, sales page copy, and so on. This process, it uses all of my ideas. I just got there much quicker because I was picking from a list that the computer produced or the list jogged my memory. There's also a component of it providing some conversational back and forth, even though I was most likely at the time sitting in front of the computer by myself without another human in the room. Over time, I found that the responses were getting more and more on point. I think this was a result of both the capabilities of ChatGPT as well as I was giving it more information to spit back out at me. But I have to say that it does it in a fairly usually intelligent way. Instead of just coming up with ideas for what my podcast should be about, I would push it further to write an outline. I would edit the outline, then I would take bullet point number 1. Tell it to elaborate on this point using the information I've given it before. Copy paste that into my document, then tell it to elaborate on bullet point number 2. For example, the exact words I would use are write a script using this information, and then I would copy paste the bulleted item. The information the result that it would spit out, I would copy paste that into my working document. I noticed that I was doing a pretty good job of writing the script. It was elaborating on the outline that I was giving it piece by piece and that it helped me create in the first place. But for writing emails, it wasn't as perfect. All AI tools are great at summarizing, but that's not exactly the best approach for email marketing and for a lot of marketing copy. I always use some sort of storytelling in everything I write, both for myself and for my clients. And ChatGPT is not great at intertwining a story with a message. I still believe that's where the human comes in. Let's take an email newsletter for a client that I just wrote earlier today. I downloaded her podcast episode, I uploaded it into Descript. It automatically transcribed the whole 40-minute episode in about a minute, which is great. I exported that transcript to my computer. I uploaded that text file to ChatGPT. At this point, If I told ChatGPT to write an email to my client's audience, it would do a great job of summarizing it in a well-worded email. It knows her target audience, their pain points, and what they want life to be like. It would be on message, but it wouldn't be her style, and it wouldn't be good email marketing because it would really lack the personality, flair, and connection that comes from telling a story. The way I get around this is that I quickly glance through the transcript while it's in Descript. I find interesting parts of the episode. Descript has a feature that it will find interesting snippets, but it's so hit or miss when it comes to is it a good story or not that it's not really usable for this. I just manually glance through the transcript. Even though this podcast episode is probably about 40 minutes, I can still get it done fairly quickly because I can read through it versus having to listen to it. I know that the interesting stuff that I'm looking for is either right after the introduction or it's at the peak of the conversation at about the 80% of the way through. That's just naturally how the conversation flows. In ChatGPT, I write an email to insert my client's name, their audience, follow this outline. And I write the outline directly into the chat window. I hit Shift Enter, which will do a line return so I can keep adding more info. And then I add one at a time, copy and pasted sentences and excerpts from the transcript I am viewing in Descript, and they can be short. As I read through Descript, I find the interesting snippets and bring it down into ChatGPT. That is the true power of AI. Once I give it these waypoints, that's how I view the excerpts. I give it a very rough outline. It knows enough about how she teaches and coaches that it can very astutely fill in the blanks. The ideas are all hers. The exact words are from ChatGPT, and the flow of the message is all me. It's a really beautiful combination of client, service provider, that's me, and online tool, that's ChatGPT. I started getting really good results with this approach. I do this multiple times per week for multiple people. I think it's a great example of the saying that you won't lose your job to AI, but you might lose your job to someone who uses AI. Now, I wouldn't say that my copywriter has actually lost my business. He is an incredible professional service provider. I will use him to deliver quality work when I run into time crunches, which definitely happen. But for the day to day, I have an impressive alternative. That's it for today. If you're looking for someone to get work done in your business, I can help. I don't just write emails. My value comes from being able to put together a full marketing system for you. Copywriting is a part of that, but my clients find success where they haven't been able to before from the marketing systems I put together for them. If you don't have a repeatable system that consistently brings in new clients for you to coach, and you'd like one, check out my website at bjbutler.com.